All right, welcome to the second review of the evening. Up this time is Trials and Traces, The Tomb of Thomas II. Um, Granted, given that full name, this you might think it would be a series, and maybe that will one day be the case. But as far as I know, this is the first game in the Trails and Traces series.
Maybe they were just going for maximum alliteration.
It's possible. I don't put it past this fucking title because this is a title you create just because you want to alliterate the fuck out of something. And to their credit, they did. Like, anyway, moving past that, Thomas 2 here is a classic point and click adventure game filled with puzzles and humor. In 1695, 2 and his fellow pirates pursued a Mughal ship. The ship, the Amity, was attacked, and the Fatwa Muhammad captured the two and disemboweled him by cannon shot, and he died instantly. Or did he? Like, that brings us to the present day. Detective James Labatt takes a missing persons case, which unexpectedly leads to an adventure of discovering the truth of what happened to the pirate Thomas II. But he isn't the only one who has an interest. Using your sleuthing skill by any means necessary to uncover information. So yeah, it's a point-and-click adventure game. We were given the Nintendo Switch version of said game, so over to the Galax, who has a few axes to grind here.
So overall, the art style is pretty classic adventure game style. I think it might actually have some 3D aspects that wouldn't have been there, but it looks pretty old style. The writing is pretty good, although it's pretty much fully voiced, and there are options for voice text or voice and text. The text on screen is sometimes a little bit awkward, and the voices are pretty amateur hour. But I mean, overall, all things being equal, I actually think I would have enjoyed this adventure game quite a bit. Unfortunately, at least for the Switch version, they have chosen an extremely problematic control scheme. This game uses 4 buttons on the Switch controller, the A and B button and the R and ZR buttons. And the shoulder buttons are just remaps of the face buttons. And all they do is one button opens and closes your inventory, and the other button it's the action button, which on the main screen, it lets you move to things. And on your inventory, it lets you click on things. Note that I did not say examine or interact, because it does not do those. In order to do those, you have to hold down the action button on a thing, and then select a little pop-up box appears with an eye and a hand on it, and you have to pick the eye to examine or the hand to interact. This includes for screen transitions. To use an item, you have to click on it from in your inventory, move it off of the inventory box that takes up about half the screen in the middle, and then move it to where you want to use it, and then use it on that. And honestly, between not having super precise controls and just the fact that having to like hold, click, and select for every action, it just made playing this game way more work than it should be, which is kind of a shame because I was actually kind of interested in the story they were doing. So yeah, moral of the story, have just interact and examine buttons. I don't know if it's different on PC, where presumably you can click for those things, but that's still not great. It does have touch controls on the Switch, but they work the same. You have to press and hold on a thing and then select the hand or eye. And honestly, I got through the prologue where you get the quest about the pirate treasure, but I was pretty short into the other thing before I ran out of time and patience with the way more effort on clicking than I felt like I needed, you know? The puzzles are not too taxing, at least not in the early part of the game. I guess they could get more clever later on. But they do involve backtracking to other areas you've been within the current exploration zone to gather information or whatever. It's also probably worth noting that the prequel to the prologues is in England, and your character is British, but the main game takes place in the Americas, initially in Rhode Island and also possibly other places. I don't have too much else. Honestly, the controls really kept me from enjoying this game, and I think otherwise I would have enjoyed it. Do you guys have any questions?
Not really.
I think I'm good.
So yeah, I can't tell too much about the story because that's the main thing of the game. But yeah, the controls were just a problem for me.
So you've iterated and indicated.
So I think that's about all I got. I don't know.
All right. In terms of pricing,
If you can find a version of the game that has better controls, I kind of recommend it. But unless that doesn't sound like a control scheme that would bother you at all, I would give this version a miss, probably.
yeah. Worth noting, the PC version is not out, so that is not an option. It's all, it's all consoles at the moment. So.
And it probably works the same on all of them, except for most of them probably don't have. The game calls it motion controls, but I wasn't able to find any actual motion controls, but it does have touch controls on the Switch.
That's probably more alleviating than, say, the Xbox, which, doesn't have that.
Nah, man, it has Kinect controls.
I don't think those have been active since, 2015.
I was kidding anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, the game is $5.
That's actually a pretty good price for the game if it had controls that work, but that's a very large caveat for me. It literally hurt my fingers after a while to play the game because of so much click, and you have to basically click and drag for everything you want to do except for move to a place on the screen.
Right. So anything else?
Not really.
All right then. So that'll about do it for the Tomb of Thomas 2. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan will be reviewing Biomutant.